Hi. I'm here to talk about the first two Twilight books. This is the third because my friend's been letting me borrow them periodically, and I gave the first two back, and Twilight might as well have one here. But anyway, I'm here to talk about the first two because I have questions, and I like to talk a lot. So talking. Yay! This is my first video ever, so I'm sorry if it's bad and the editing is bad, but at least my outfit is fire, and at least I get to talk about Twilight, because I like it, but stuff to talk about. Okay, also I might just explain plot. If you're watching this, you probably already know about Twilight, and I'm just talking to talk at this point, so I'm just, I'm sure you know. So the first book, really cool. I liked the first book. Some parts, Bella felt a little bland as a personal character, but she was funny, so I liked it. She was funny. And, I was questioning until he, explained the smell part, why he hated her. Well, not hated her. I don't know. Well, no, he did kind of hate her. Because I also read, the first little tidbit of the book from his POV, but I stopped it because, okay, so, my library, wasn't getting the second book out because someone has had it checked out for 3 months until one of my friends let me borrow her copy. So I started off with that one, but I quit it to finish the second book, So the first part I was like, wow, he's really just plotting to murder her, and I thought it was really funny. Because I'd love to see a conversation between past Edward and current Edward, at least current as in the second book, because they would it would be really funny. And I keep on saying I don't know. No one's gonna watch this anyways. So, I thought in the first book, what was really cool was how, I don't know, the setting itself. I know in the movies they had that blue filter going on and some people didn't like it. I see where they got that from though. Cause I always saw the books in this bluish tone, and it was really I liked the vibes. The vibes were vibing. And I found when you go into Twilight, Edward's a vampire, and they sparkle in the sun, and they have flat teeth or whatever. I knew he was a vampire. What was really funny was that she wasn't, Bella wasn't guessing that, even though it was kind of obvious. That vampire. So that was really funny. But mostly this is going to be about the second book, because I have opinions. Second book, cool. After the first book ended, I was expecting the James Coven plotline to just be gone, and I was kind of upset because I was are they just gonna end it here? Because when they started the first book, I was no, this includes nothing about them. So I was enjoying it though until she got a paper cut and everyone freaked out. Everything in this book, I keep on looking back at it and I keep on thinking in the second book if Bella just hadn't gotten that paper cut, But paper cut, everyone freaks out. I couldn't help but laugh. And Edward was making a big deal about it. To be honest, I don't know why he was making a big deal about the paper cut when worse things were happening. You're I'm putting you in danger because of this paper cut and my family freaking out. When in the beginning you were thinking about murdering her, wouldn't you be a bit more I don't know. So then they break up and he's all I don't love you anymore, and it was well, when you're reading that, you're yeah, he still loves her. She doesn't know that, but she gives up really easily. I'm gonna be honest, of course, it was a joke, because in the first book he was all you're my everything, I would die for you, Deku. Anyways, so where did he go? I don't know. If you see a tabby cat throughout this, that's my cat, and he and I live in the same room. But yeah, that's my baby, and if you hear background noises, that's probably him. I'm not cutting it out because I love my cat. Anyways, so where was I? Paper cut, freak out, breaks up, and she was devastated, and that shouldn't be funny that she was devastated, but she was devastated, and going through it, and she was completely, she had depression in those months, I'm sure, which kind of real. they were so intertwined. I find it funny, like, from their outside perspectives, this teenager just got in a breakup and had serious depression. And, like, breakups are bad. I'm a teenager. But my breakups were different from hers, but, like, they're all thinking, oh, it's just a teenage breakup, and she's freaking out about it. Wow, she's such an overreactor. When the breakup was, like, this eternal, beautiful vampire who knew you better than anyone else just, like, left you and told you that he doesn't love you anymore. And this is, like, the first time she's ever dated anyone, and she's just, like, devastated. And it's like, I kind of get it, you know? Because I've only ever dated, like, 2 people, and the breakups were, like, really cordial, and also it was, like, whatever. But anyways, this isn't about me and my breakups. I didn't date any vampires, so I can't talk. Like, I was, like, real, and then she goes out, I'm about to get to the funniest part. Oh, I forgot to mention, spoilers for Twilight, I guess, but, like, everyone here probably already watched it, or read it, or isn't gonna watch it or read it. So, like, she, like, goes on an outing, so her dad doesn't ship her away or anything. She goes on the outing with Jessica, who's kind of I don't know how YouTube algorithm works. BITCH, is, like, because she's, like, got depression, and no one's really being, like, you know, oh, Bella, I support you, kind of. They're just like, we're gonna ship you away because your mom can handle this better. When she's like, no! And it's like, no one's really, like, I feel so bad for her because she's suffering, and, like, no one's really handling it the best way. And this is where she becomes more of a character, and it's really funny. Kitty. But anyways, so, like, and I felt really bad. Her dad was trying, you know, and I appreciate that, but still, like, try harder, I guess. He couldn't have. He doesn't really know what's going on, so no one can really, that's even sadder, because no one can really help her, because no one really knows what she's, like, going through. They don't know that it was, like, a vampire who saved her life. So I guess, really, that is really sad. And so, like, then she does, like, she sees the guys who tried to kidnap her or rob her or do some other bad stuff to her in the first book, that Edward saved her from. She sees them, and she's like, what if Loki, what if I, like, confront them or something? Because she was, like, feeling things, and understandable. So she, like, goes out. She, like, goes out and tries to, like, confront them until she hears voices in her head. The voices in my head. I don't remember what song that was. I know it was a good song. I'm gonna Shazam that later. So she like walks towards them, and it's like Edward talking to her. And I, at this part, was, like, fully thinking, oh, Edward develops new powers. He's, like, talking to her to get her out of trouble. That's what I was expecting. Spoiler alert, she was just going crazy, and that's so funny to me. I started laughing at the end, because I was thinking, oh, she's insane. I mean, wait, no. Switch that. I was thinking, oh, Edward found some new magical powers where he can talk to her in their brains. But then I was thinking, like how the whole thing is, like, he can't read her mind, which, like, oh, I'll talk about that later. And so I was thinking, maybe he just got stronger or something, because the way she described it was, like, this is the most, this is the clearest I've heard him since, like, before. And I was thinking, Stephenie Meyers, she does these plot twists that are, like, they aren't really plot twists, because, sorry, cat. They aren't really plot twists because, you know, you expect them to happen, kind of. But also, like, the thing with Twilight is when you go into it, you already know things because it's so popular. Like, you know Edward's a vampire, you know Jacob's a werewolf, you know, like, there's, like, mind reading involved, you know they glitter in the sun. So I was expecting this to be one of those obvious plot twists, not involving that, because that's because it was popular, but, like, you know, the whole, what's it? I don't know. I was expecting this plot twist to be really obvious, and it's just, like, he developed powers and is talking to her. But it wasn't. She was just going insane, which is somehow even funnier and, like, a better plot twist. And it gave her so much character that I really enjoyed. So she's realizing if she does dangerous stuff, then she'll hear his voice. And she, like, I'm gonna be frank, she becomes an adrenaline junkie, basically, because she wants to hear his voice. And so she's like, this is later, after this. She goes home after this, and she's thinking, Edward, Edward, I heard you. And so, like, she goes to, like, on a drive later. This is way later after this. And she sees 2 dirt bikes. And I was like, oh. And so she goes up and she's like, hey, can I buy these? And they're like, no, they don't work. They're free. You can just take them. She was like, I know someone who works on cars and bikes. So then she goes to Jacob. Not a love triangle, because, like, a love triangle, you know, they all have something for each other. This is like a love corner, and Jacob and Edward are, like, backing her into it, saying, date me. But anyways, like, so she goes to Jacob, who I feel kind of bad for Jacob in this scenario, because she's just talking to him when she needs him, and he's, like, thinking, like, oh, she remembered me when she just kind of wanted something. But also, like, they're teenagers, you know. They're teenagers, they make mistakes. Speaking of which, like, okay, problematic age gap between Edward and Bella, which I wasn't completely into. And, like, he has so much more experience, but also his brain is the development of a 17-year-old, you know, like, science. See, usually when I just read it, I forget that. It could have been, you know what Stephanie could have done? She could have just said something simple like Bella was, like, held back and, like, middle school, and it doesn't even have to be because she, like, failed something, but, like, since her mom was moving around so much, maybe that could have been an excuse in it. Like, my mom moved around so much, I didn't have time to, like, properly, you know, with school, and I had to be held back. And maybe that, and now she's 18, and it's not as weird, you know? Why couldn't she have done that? But, like, okay, I just forget about it, and I ignore it, even though I probably shouldn't. But, you know, eternal 17-year-old, how long have you been 17, blah, blah, blah. So, she's, like, he's a teenager, really young. They're both teenagers, they make mistakes emotionally. I say as a teenager, I'm self-aware! Absolute cinema. Anyways, so, like, she's, like, using him at first to just fix the bikes and go adrenaline junkie, but then she's like, well, I do genuinely like him as a person, you know, but it's just kind of awkward that he has a crush on me, etc., which, yeah, I get that it is pretty awkward, you know, that she has a crush on him. I mean, she doesn't. He has a crush on her, and she doesn't feel that way back. So I kind of get that, and so now she's like, they're fixing the bike together, and she feels again, you know, she's like, wow, this guy's really fun to hang out with. He's like my brother figure, or whatever. She's like thinking of him as a little brother at the beginning. Later on, it like gets wishy-washy, but I'll go through that later. And he's over here like panting, going like, Bella, Bella, and I found that really funny. Like, I keep on saying like, I'm sorry. He, like, they fix up the bikes and they're doing it in secret because their dad would freak out, you know. But but also his dad would freak out, so they're keeping it hidden and stuff. And so they're fixing up the bike, and, like, she's paying for all the repairs and stuff, and she's like, teach me how to ride. And he's like, okay, happy-go-lucky, let's go. And he's, like, really wholesome in the beginning. It changes. And at this point, I was thinking, wow, I'm Team Jacob now, because they're, like, she's a bit older than him, but it's a year and, like, a quarter. And also, he feels he's not leaving her. Like, Edward, get your bum ass home, you know? But, like, Jacob, I was like, you know, I can see this. Because it's, like, he's, like, they're similar in everything. And I'm thinking, these two, I see where the Team Jacobs are at. In fact, I'm probably one of them now. So, I was Team Jacob at this part. And I was thinking, Edward, don't get your bum ass home. But also kind of yes, because, like, I still liked Edward as a character. Like, in the movies, you hear him all as, like, oh, baby girl. Brooding, that was, like, a Walleen. I don't know if you could tell. Oh, baby girl. And so, I was, like, he sounded kind of cringe until I got into it, and he was, like, all mysteriously, like, he was serious, but also, like, knew how to joke and stuff, and I liked it. And so, I was into him. So now I'm feeling, like, torn apart at the strings. Also, about the love triangle thing earlier, you know, it could be a love triangle if you it doesn't have to be a corner if you yowie hard enough. but also at this time, well, that's later. I'll talk about that later. And so, she's adrenaline junkieing out. I might be missing things. She's doing her thing. They're hanging out periodically, but weird things are going on, like big bears seen throughout the woods and stuff. She falls off the bike. No! But she's, like, really into that because she heard Edward's voice. I don't know if this part came before or after it. I might be mixing it up. But, like, at some point, there's, like, Laurent has come to, like, kill her, you know? And I was like, oh my gosh, the plotline, it's continuing, and I was really happy. But then a bunch of wolves came, like giant wolves came and killed him, and I was like, yeah, Jacob's turned into a werewolf. Oh, I forgot this part. At one point, like, so Jacob and her, yeah, this did happen after. So her and Jacob go to the movies with Mike, you know? And, like, Mike's all sick and stuff, and Mike's like, no! So I guess it's kind of like, what would that shape be called? A love triple angle, I guess, where they're all trying to get her. But, like, so he goes back and he's feeling sick and he's getting really warm. And so she's like, yeah, go home. And so he goes home and she doesn't hear from him like weeks. And she's kind of become codependent on him. But like at this point it's still not like a crush kind of thing. It's like a like best friend, I need you, platonic soulmates kind of thing, which I was vibing with. And at this point I was thinking, you know, I'm okay if they become friends or romantic, but I knew that he had a romantic crush towards her and that would be awkward, but he'd also been like, I'll wait for as long as you want and I'm content with just being friends or whatever. So she was like concerned until they finally talked. It was more of an argument or whatever, and she was like, they were yelling at each other until she went home. Jacob broke in, kind of, like, knocked on her window and was like, okay, let's talk. And then they, like, he can't tell her explicitly what he is because of some alpha pack thing. I'm the alpha. I'm the leader. I'm the one to trust. And Sam, like, ordered him not to. But, you know, he's like, figure it out. And I would have guessed immediately, like, giant wolves in the area. He's like, it's supernatural. I would have been like, oh, werewolf. Okay, duh. But it also might have been just, like, me knowing he was a werewolf beforehand. So she figures it out, tells him the next day, and they're still kind of friends. And then she, like, talks to him about the Laurent thing, and he's saying, yeah, there's this, like, redhead vampire going around doing redhead vampire stuff. And she's like, oh my god, Victoria! And he's like, Victoria is her name? But he's, like, saying mean things, like bloodsucker and leech. And, like, why are you being vampire racist? But also, like, it's a gene thing. Can you be genetically vampire racist? I think werewolves are genetically vampire racist. Because, like, the vampires aren't genetically werewolf racist. It's just the werewolves who are genetically vampire racist. But anyways, so she's like, yeah, Victoria, they tried to kill me, like, a bit ago, but Edward saved me. And he's like, oh my god, she's after you! She's like, yeah. And so she, like, they, like, decide to puppy dog guard her after a bit of argument, and then they go to, like, a cabin where, like, the entire pack hangs out. They're a wolf pack. They run the night. Woo. Oh. And then they meet, I think her name is Emily. I vibed with her, though. And she had, like, a giant scar or whatever, and it turns out, like, Sam before gave her that scar, and I was like, oh, it was because he wolfed out. But she's still alive. I'm questioning, like, that a bit. I'll get that to the questions section later in the video. Woo! Long video! Really long video. Anyways, so then she's, like, describing them as her wolves coming back, and now this is the part where she's starting to get a bit romantical with Jacob. But she's still, like, denying it, and etc., etc., so vampire hunter hunting things, and she's questioning her romance with Jacob, but she's also been like, I wish we were brother and sister so that I wouldn't have to think about this, and I'm like, that's kind of weird, but, like, whatever. There's already, like, age gaps. Who cares about the questionable feelings? Or, I don't know. I don't know, man. I'm 15. I'm reading Twilight. What am I doing here? I've never made a YouTube video before. Kitty! Anyways, so she like, blah, 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 blah. She's thinking, I need to cliff dive. And I'm like, oh, girl. And so she goes cliff diving. Woo! But everyone thinks she's trying to kill herself, which, understandable. I might have to bleep that. I don't know how YouTube censorship works. I'll do it. I'll do it in the editing process, whatever. So she does that. She cliff dives, nearly drowns, and she's thinking, wow, I can see Edward, and like so perfectly and beautifully. It's amazing. This is the best way to die. And like, even if she wasn't trying to herself, it's kind of like, at this point, she's just accepting it. But he's like saying, go, keep swimming, keep swimming. Jacob comes in and saves her. She sleeps on the couch. But she, like, on her way out, sees, like, auburn hair in there. And I remember Jacob's hair being described as coppery. So I'm like, what if Jacob was actually there? And he was trying to save her. And that's kind of like, that was proving my mind theory. I was thinking, wow, he's secretly been watching over her. Which he wasn't. But that was Victoria, as we learn later on, because she, like, jumped into the water to get away from the werewolves who have been constantly trying to push her out, or whatever. So, he, like, they protect each other, or, not really, what am I talking about? What am I yapping about? Oh, wait, that's my cat. That's Kitsy. His name is Atlas, but he responds to baby. So I guess his name is Baby, so I'll just be calling him Baby. Anyways. Alright, Sigmas, I'm back. So I was talking about, like, the auburn hair thing. She sees, like, Victoria in the water. So now she's freaking out. But then, like, Alice is back now. Because Alice, like, saw a vision where she tried to kill herself. Well, she was thinking she was trying to kill herself when she was really just... Well, she was just really... Basically. You guys know. But Alice couldn't see Jacob pulling her out of the water. And I'm questioning, like, you couldn't see Jacob pulling her out of the water, but couldn't you have seen her, like, being pulled out of the water? Unless it's, like, anything with the werewolf in it is cut off or something. But she didn't see Jacob pulling her out, so she's like, oh my god, she died. So Alice went to her house to, like, mourn. And then, oh, funny enough, look who just walked in. It's Bella. And she was like, you're not dead? And then they, like, reconcile, and Alice is staying for a bit, and now Bella's really codependent on her, because it's, like, you know, old vampire person. There's a bunch of noise going on in the camera. I don't know. This is on my phone. I don't have the money for a fancy camera. I spend it all on Depop. And Lollipop Chainsaw. That thing was on sale recently. I freaking love Lollipop Chainsaw. Like, I haven't finished it because it's on my computer, and my computer... Why am I talking about Lollipop Chainsaw in a Twilight video? Frick! Anyways, so... But then Jacob's, like, freaking out because they have, like, genetic racism towards vampires or whatever, and they can't do their thing because of an old-timey pact. You know, they can't, like, do werewolf stuff because of an old thing. And so Alice is like, oh, you're here. And they, like, hate each other, kind of. But Alice is hanging out with her until, like, later on. And also there's conflict. Like, Jacob's like, you can't be friends with vampires and werewolves at the same time. And I'm like, why can't she? Just talk to you separately. You know, on Saturdays the vampires get her. On Sundays the werewolves get her. It's easy. You know, werewolf Saturdays, vampire Sundays. Or switch that. I don't know. I don't care. Anyways... So, that happens, and then Alice gets a whole vision. Jacob's trying to kill himself, you know? Jacob's like, I can't live without her! And so, Bella's like, we gotta go to Alice. So they run really fast, they, like, planes, vroom vroom! Well, not vroom vroom. Planes don't go vroom vroom. What am I yapping about? I'm such a fat chud. that happens. They go, and Bella's like freaking out. She still thinks Edward doesn't love her when he's trying to end it all after she died. Like, brain cells! Brain cells. Alice and Bella share a brain cell, and Alice is in charge of it. So they, like, go out. Also, it turns out Rosaline, like, told Edward, because, like, Alice told her the vision, and Rosaline told Edward, like, a chain, and then he went, and he ran. And so now they're going to save him, and it's in, like, this city in, Italy, and it had been mentioned previously in, like, the first book, that there's this, like, no, was it the first or the beginning of the second? I don't know. They all melt together eventually. And so, basically, you go to this family of vampires if you want to end it all, because they'll, like, kill you. So he, like, goes to the city of vampires and is, like, talking to them. And is saying, okay, kill me. But they're like, no, you can read minds. That's really epic and sick. And he's like, so now he's gonna go and provoke them, so they'll kill him instead. And so they go to the city of vampires, and Edward's about to walk into the sun so everyone can see him, like, shining like a geode. Oh, pretty princess. But Bella is able to stop him just in time, and he's, like, shirtless or whatever. I feel like that would cause a bigger scene. But anyways, well, no, it wouldn't, but I'm such a fat fucking chud! Anyways, so, like, there's this little girl called Jane, and she, like, takes them away after they reconcile with Alice. Alice is there too, and Edward won't stop grabbing her. And mind you, she's still thinking, oh my god, he's gonna leave me after this, and that's okay, but I'll probably die of the sorrow. And I'm like, he just tried to end it all because he couldn't be with you for your own safety. I think he might like you a little bit, you know. And so, 1 second. Sorry, my phone almost died. It's okay. Back to talking. So, like, they're going, and I'm wondering, wow, Jane must have cool vampire powers or something. Whoa. Wowza. And it was enough to scare everyone, because everyone was like, oh, well, I guess we have to go now, because Jane's here. And I'm like, oh, so Jane has aura. Okay. And they go down to, like, the sewer system or whatever, and they're meet in front of one of the vampire guys, and he's, like, papery, and he kisses Jane on the lips, and I'm like, is he a pedophile, or... Because Jane's, like, little girl, I'm pretty sure. So is he into kids, or is it just, like, a greeting where he's from? Or is it, like, a fatherly, like... Because I know in some families, they'll kiss their kids on the lips. And that's normal for them. So is it, like, this? I don't know. Maybe it's explained in later books. I'm only in the first 2. And so, like, then everything is explained, basically, and they're like, you're gonna have to turn her, you know, turn her, so that she doesn't spew our secrets everywhere, because they have, like, vampire rules, and the rule is that no one can know, or whatever. And so, vampire rule, blah, vampire rule, and they're like, turn her or kill her, one of the two, and he's like, I don't want to do either. By the way, he's been like, I don't want to turn you, you'll lose your soul, but, like, come on, man. You could just live forever. No one's gonna go and try and kill you, I'm pretty sure. And also, like, when he saved her, when she, like, saved him from jumping, he was like, when she saved him from going, boom, light show, in front of the entire city, he thought, oh my gosh, Carasil, I don't know how to pronounce his name, his fuck-ass dad, was right, and we do have souls, and I'm in heaven, but no, and so I'm like, even if you don't have souls, like, you're not gonna change as a person after you vamp up, I don't think. No one really changed, besides getting sick-ass powers. I'd be a vampire, man. I don't go outside anyways. Well, I live in Texas. It's really bright here, so I'd probably be cooked. And yeah, I'd probably be cooked. The werewolves are kind of cooler, but I get angry too fast. Anyways, so they go out, etc., etc., And they're like, fine, if you turn her, later on. Oh, I forgot this part. And he's like, no one can use their powers on her or whatever, but Alice somehow can. Like, no one can use their powers on her, but Alice was able to see her in the future. And I'm questioning, like, why? This was it. So, like, they test him out on her. None of them work, and they're like, wow, we need her on the team. Turn her. And he's like, I'll do it later when she's 18. But he does not plan on doing that. So they go home, and he's like, I won't leave you again. She, like, gets really long sleep. And they're like, okay, yippee, yippee. And then she's also like, can't I be friends with werewolves? And he's like, no, they're dangerous. And the werewolves are like, no, you can't be friends with vampires. No, they're dangerous. And it's like, man, just take and split her up. There's this thing called sharing. Sharing is caring. 1 week for the vampires, 1 week for the werewolves. If you want even more time, just make it once per month. You know, Hades and Persephone. Half the year with vampires, half the year with werewolves or something. I don't know. Easy. I might write a fan fiction about that later. Anyways, so blah 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 blah. She's like, I want to be a vampire. She's been saying this, mind you. She's been thinking, why couldn't I be a vampire? It'd solve everyone's problems. And he's like, no, your soul. And she's like, oh, I don't care. And so she's like, this is a family decision now, because, like, the vampire family is gonna come and get you guys if you don't turn me soon. And he's like, they're really old. A week is like a year to them or whatever. We can wait. And she's like, I don't want to wait, because Victoria's still after my ass. And I keep on putting everyone in danger. And he's like, no, we've been putting you in danger. They've been putting each other in danger. So she's like, this is a family matter with your family. We're doing a vote. And the vote to turn her wins. But then Edward's like, we can wait though, can't we? And he's like, wait until you finish high school. And she's like, okay, fine, but I don't want to get old. And I'm like, girl, you can wait. 20 isn't old. And she's like, I don't want to look older than him. He's mentally like 120 something. You can wait a bit. Like, if you don't want to look old next to him, she's constantly thinking, wow, he's so beautiful and I'm such an ugly troll next to him. Girl, your skin is white as snow. Your hair is thick as milk. You're beautiful. You shine when the light hits you. Your eyes glimmer with this sparkle, I think. Bella! Bella! Everyone likes you because you're perfect. Body tea, girl. It's okay. But she's like, turn me soon. And so he's like, at least wait till college or after college. And she's like, we'll discuss this when college gets there. I don't want to get old. And like, Stephanie Meyer's insecurities were kind of like, I could smell them a little bit. I get that she doesn't want to look like the pedophile in the relationship. Not pedophile, like the creep. But like, also at this point I was Team Edward again, because like Jacob was getting all angry, like way too angry. I thought he was going to hit her a few times, really forceful, was about to kiss her without her consent. So I was like, so now I'm Team Edward again. And also I remember like Jacob got freaky with, this was a spoiler, with the baby, Renesmee. And I'm like, also, who names their kid Renesmee? I know it's a mix of like both their mother's names, but make that the middle name. I would, poor baby. Also, she's like a shield or something. I'll get to that later. Okay. So, yeah. Then the book pretty much ends. And I'm like, okay, third book, here it is. And now I have a few questions, specifically about, like, the world building, and also a few occasional things. So, first of all, I know she's a shield, because I got spoiled. I got spoilers, and no vampire can use their powers on her or anything. And I know it was hinted at that, like, Alice had powers beforehand, like she saw the future, and that's why she got sent to the psych ward. And so I'm like questioning, when do the vampires, like, get their powers after, or already had them? Like, did Edward read minds before, and now he has them, or does he just have them now? Are they even vampire powers if, like, you had them before and you become a vampire after? Like, where do these powers come from? Are they like their own thing? Would these people be like psychics or whatever? Why isn't that ever explained? That some vampires had powers before they were humans and some vampires got them afterwards. I thought that was weird. I didn't know. And I also don't really understand what, like, how the power system works, as in when will someone get a power? Like, some vampires get the powers, some vampires don't, and now I'm like, or do they get the power and they're just like really insignificant and don't care? Because like Jasper's is really simple. It's just calming people down. And there's like the trackers who can like smell people really good. I don't know. Why do some have their powers before and some get them afterwards? I didn't understand that. It might be explained later. Like I said, I'm in the first 2 books. Second, this is mostly a question that, because I got a spoiler, the Renesmee thing. So werewolves have like mating bonds or whatever, to protect their kitten whiskers. But anyways, so like he got the bond through the womb. Wouldn't that wait until she was like born at least? Because you're not really, well, you're conscious at like, I remember scientifically, you're conscious at around the 2nd or the 3rd trimester. I don't remember what vampire baby trimester Bella was on. I don't know. But like he got it through the womb. And I'm questioning, like, does that just happen? How can that happen? Is that like, there's gotta be, I don't know how to explain it, but I feel like it doesn't add up. And also, like, he knew about the mating bonds, I'm pretty sure. So didn't he know that Bella wasn't his soulmate? So why was he like frothing over the mouth so much? I don't know. And okay, there's more later, but those are like things I don't understand yet because they're spoilers or whatever. I'm questioning, like, what would happen if, like, a vampire and a werewolf fell in love? Because I know they genetically hate each other, but, like, you know, imagine, like, it's a werewolf, but they haven't, like, shown yet. Because werewolves are shown when vampires are around. Or maybe when they get angry, I don't know. So, and then they're dating this person. They're both humans at this point, and this person isn't a vampire yet. What would happen if, like, the girlfriend turned into a vampire, and then the werewolf wolfed out because vampires? What would be, like, what would happen? And so, would they just try to stay together, or would they just have to break up because they can't handle the pure, like, I don't know, genetic racism? Or whatever. I'm calling it genetic racism. That's basically what it is. I don't care if there's some other word for it. It's genetic racism. So what would happen then? And like, could a werewolf become a vampire? Like, you're a werewolf. You've presented as a werewolf or whatever. But then a vampire comes and bites you. Whether you're in wolf form or whatever. Because you turn into a werewolf when vampires are around. You know. But like, someone bites you. You go, ah, and now are you a vampire werewolf? Or would that not happen because technically you'd be wolfed out at that moment and the vampire would bite you while you're wolfed out? How would that work? That was so cringe. What would happen? And also, like, would it just equal out? Like how snakes, if they bite themselves, they got anti-venom for that or whatever? Would that just not work? There's probably a Twilight OC out there that's both. I might have to make that OC if there isn't, because that sounds fire. And I forgot to mention this part. At the beginning, they're thinking they're giant bears, until somehow magically, after she gets confronted by the wolves, everyone's like, oh, they're werewolves. How did they figure it out? Was it the tracks or something? I also forgot to mention this part. What was it? I forgot it again. I missed something. If you know I missed something, put it in the comments and, like, put it in the area. Sorry. I probably missed a lot. This is very rambly. So I'm questioning that a little bit, incy tiny bit. Also, why did the baby, I'm questioning why Stephanie Myers had to have, like, the baby be the love interest for Jacob. There's so many cool options. And also, wouldn't Jacob have genetic racism towards, like, wouldn't Jacob have, like, genetic racism towards the baby? Because she's, like, half vampire or whatever. Wouldn't he, like, wolf out whenever they're around? And I'm questioning that a little bit. Is it kind of like, I hate vampires, but you're the exception. I wouldn't date that. Also, is Renesmee marked back? Like, is she gonna be, like, obsessed with him too? I don't know. She could have done something really interesting. Also, what I find weird is because they all see, like, Carousel or whatever his freaking name is and Esme as parents, but some of them are dating each other. Like, aren't you all, like, adopted by them? It feels kind of weird. But why couldn't, like, some cool thing where Jacob gets over Bella and he falls in love with a vampire from a distance? Wouldn't that be cool? You know, that'd be a cool plot for an extra side series for you to cash grab. I would read that. That sounds fire. You know, this kind of weird, freaking... I don't know. You get it. Enemies to lovers, forbidden love kind of thing. That'd be kind of fire. I'm questioning why they didn't do that. Also, this is Angie. I forgot about that too. Anyways, that's most of it. I might have forgotten some stuff. I don't know. If people like this enough, I'll make one for other books I read. Because I want to read, like, everything in Twilight. I'm actually really into this series, despite, like, some plot holes. Anyways, bye! Oh! I'm Kalka, or Angie, or whatever. Call me whatever you want. Yes, I have the same name as the bunny. I don't know. I don't go here. Yes, I do. This is my room. Oh, yeah. Anyways, bye!